There is a moment many people know where a single sentence lands heavier than expected and stays in the body long after the room is gone. This moment often arrives disguised as feedback or realism or advice, but it carries something else underneath. It carries a question about belonging and whether you are allowed to exist fully as you are. The context here is not only about one meeting or one industry, but about how systems react when they cannot easily place a person into a familiar box. Many systems are comfortable with talent as long as it fits expectations. The moment talent challenges the shape of the system, discomfort appears in everyday life. This happens when someone says you are great but not for this role, or you are smart but not leadership material, or you are kind but too quiet. These words sound calm, but they quietly shrink space. The first surface idea in this story is rejection. At first it looks like someone being told no, or not yet, or not like that. Rejection hurts because it feels personal. It reaches deep because it suggests that your presence creates a problem for others in daily life. Rejection shows up in small ways: a resume ignored, a suggestion passed over, a room that goes quiet after you speak. On the surface, rejection looks like a door closing, but if we stay there too long we miss the deeper movement happening underneath. The second insight sits just below that surface, and it is about a hidden assumption. The assumption is that if a system cannot imagine you, then you must adjust yourself to fit it. This assumption teaches people to become smaller, quieter, or more flexible than is healthy. We learn to edit our voice, our style, our ambition to make others comfortable. Think about how many people have learned to soften their opinions in meetings, or change their appearance for work, or avoid speaking about parts of their life. The system teaches this slowly, not with rules but with reactions. But this story interrupts that assumption because the comment that was meant to reduce actually revealed something else. It revealed that the problem was not lack of value, but lack of imagination. When someone says they do not know what to do with you, they are admitting the limits of their own vision. This is an important shift because it moves the weight away from the person being judged and back onto the structure doing the judging. The third insight is about that structure and how it maintains itself. Systems often survive by repeating what has worked before. Familiar pairings, familiar stories, familiar images feel safe because they promise predictable results. In entertainment, in business, in education, this pattern appears again and again. The system rewards what it already understands and labels everything else as risky. But risk here does not mean impossible, it means unfamiliar in everyday life. This is why new ideas are often ignored until someone else succeeds with them. The structure waits for proof before permission. This pattern makes innovation slow and belonging conditional, but when someone steps into a space without waiting for approval, the structure is forced to adjust or reveal itself. The moment of reframing comes quietly. It happens when the focus shifts from how do I fit to why should I disappear. This is not arrogance, it is clarity. It is the realization that permission does not always come from outside. Sometimes it must be granted internally. When someone decides to take up space without asking, they change the energy of the room. They are no longer negotiating their worth, they are occupying it. In daily life, this can look small. It can be raising your hand again after being ignored. It can be applying for roles you were told were unrealistic. It can be speaking with confidence even when the room is unsure. This reframing does not erase fear, but it changes its role. Fear no longer decides direction, it becomes a passenger, not a driver. Applying this to daily life invites us to notice where we have internalized someone else's limits. Many people carry invisible boundaries drawn by comments made years ago. A teacher once doubted you, a manager questioned your readiness, a peer laughed at your idea. Over time, these moments form an inner voice that asks, who do you think you are? But the deeper work is learning to answer that voice with presence rather than argument. You do not need to prove anything in that moment. You simply need to remain visible. Remaining visible is an act of resistance in systems that prefer sameness. It is also an act of generosity because it expands what others can imagine. The optional deepening here is about resilience and growth. When something meant to diminish instead becomes fuel, it does not happen instantly. It requires reflection. It requires choosing meaning over injury. In everyday life, this might look like replaying a painful conversation and slowly noticing what else was said beneath the surface. Maybe the person revealed fear, insecurity, or habit. Maybe the comment was about market logic, not human truth. This does not excuse harm, but it changes how we carry it. Growth happens when we metabolize experience instead of storing it as shame. The ability to learn from pain without becoming hardened is rare and powerful. It allows a person to evolve without losing softness. Over time, this practice builds an inner steadiness where external validation matters less and internal alignment matters more. This steadiness is not loud, it does not announce itself. It shows up as calm persistence, as showing up again and again without apology. It shows up as joy that does not ask permission. As we sit with This story, the deeper message becomes clear. Belonging is not something the gatekeepers hand out, it is something claimed through presence. When someone decides they belong, they begin to act like it. They take roles they were told were not written for them. They speak stories that were not requested. They create space simply by standing in it, and slowly the system adjusts, not because it wants to but because reality has shifted. Others see it and something opens. They realize the box was never fixed, it was only familiar. So as you think about the places where you have been told directly or indirectly that there is no clear place for you, the quiet question to carry forward is, where might your full presence expand the room instead of asking for permission to enter it?